everybody and welcome to the Creative Corner, and today we're going to talk about the creative expression of children's books. We've got a wonderful author with us. Before we get to her, hello Flash.
Hey mate, how you doing?
Pretty good, mate.
What's going on?
Oh, we've been having a few jokes off camera.
We have. That's not like you at all.
We'll share some of that with you guys. We've got a couple of children's books in your hands there. Again,
Yes.
This is something that you've played a large role in,
Yes.
in the publishing process. Anything that really sticks in your head that was a great memory of bringing this to life?
I think definitely the illustrations. Children's books really start to come to life with the illustrations when they're brought together in the format, and absolutely was the case with this book. I just love the illustrations. It has this real old school feel about it and takes me back to when I was quite young, going through books. So yeah, definitely the illustrations.
Very classic. So let's meet the lady that's behind these fantastic books, which is the Aunt Sally storybook series, Jean Peel. Hello, Jean.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are you?
Oh, wonderful.
Well, we're just going to cut straight to the jokes. So we were just about to start this interview, and you shared with us that you hate tailgaters.
Oh, I do, yes.
And what do you do when you have a tailgater?
I turn my music up loud and I start to jiggle about.
And they back
And
off.
almost without exception, they back right off.
So I had this vision in my head that here's Jean cranking up the highway, AC/DC blaring out of her car, but it's not AC/DC, is it?
It's very hard to do that to Susan Boyle.
Susan Boyle, well, now I've got a vision in my head. Well, I'm sure that you cranking Susan Boyle at the top of the volume in your car is not everything that's about Jean. So who is Jean? What's your history? Where do you come from? Where did the creativity come from?
Oh, well, I've been writing since I was very young. I've read since I was very young. I used to get my mum to get the library books out of the adult section because I wasn't allowed to set foot in the adult section. I was born in Glasgow.
Yep.
I was a baby boomer, just born just before the war actually officially ended, and I don't know, I didn't quite fit in Glasgow. I don't know, I was always in trouble. I wasn't never doing the right thing, and my dad died very young, and I felt I couldn't leave my mother, but I'd always at the back of my mind, since I was about 9, I just knew that I would come to Australia. But it took me 24 years before I finally was able to sign the paperwork and come. So I was one of the last 10-pound poms, and I arrived on the 16th of April 1969, 3 days after the tram stopped running. So I was there in time to see all the railway lines getting pulled up. And people used to say to me, oh, just follow the tram lines. But of course tram lines turn corners. I've been turning corners. And I saw a lot of Brisbane in the first few months. Because I was very quick to buy a car. I couldn't live without a car. So anyway, I bought a very old 1969 Hillman Lynx, a British car, which should never ever have been in Australia. It didn't like the heat and it didn't like the cold. So it went around with all its things in the radiator all bound up with cloths and everything, and I carried litres and litres of water in the boot, so every time I stopped and added the water to cool down the radiator. But it lasted me 6 years. It lasted me until I got married, so yeah, anyway.
I've now, the Susan Boyle thing's still in my head, and I've pictured this car. Maybe Aunt Sally's going to go for a drive at some point.
Yeah, maybe.
Something there.
Oh, Aunt Sally's been for many drives. She's been on bus drives in Bora Bora. She's been to Hawaii. Her doppelganger. I couldn't take the real Aunt Sally. Right. But she's been all over the world. She's gone on holiday to the UK with a friend of mine, and she's been pictured in the UK, in England, Hawaii, Bora Bora, Papeete. Oh gosh, I've forgotten all the places we went to. Sydney.
Everywhere.
Aunt Sally and her doppelganger have been everywhere. 2009 I wrote my first rhyming story about how Aunt Sally got her name.
Yep.
And a couple of her adventures are based very, very loosely on an old white puss I had, a stray, and he was a gorgeous cat. And he almost drowned, and he got caught in a bushfire, and I thought I'd lost him. And I thought this great big burly fireman was coming to tell me the cat was dead. I thought he was carrying his white hat under his arm. It was the cat. So White Pooh survived. He also got up into the wheelbase of my car, and I nearly killed him that way, and it was my mum's idea of letting the air out the tire, and we finally got his back bone out the car. So
You have the most remarkable stories. Just every time I catch up with you, it cracks me up. Eh? It's so cool. What did you learn about the writing process?
To be honest, I don't know that I've learnt an awful lot. I've just thrown out the rules and just, that's it. If people don't like it, tough.
All right, let me unpack that. What about bringing a book to life? Like, you've written these stories, and then you embarked on the publishing journey. What did you learn about this whole road?
Bloody difficult. I'm way, way out of my comfort zone.
Are we talking about publishing or marketing?
Talking about everything.
But you've done so well, Jean.
Yeah, well, I've had to push myself.
Do you think that's what it takes to really see our creativity succeed? That we have to step outside our comfort zone?
I think so. I mean, I can write and write and write and write, but what's the point of writing if nobody's going to read it?
What are the things that you've done since the books have been published that are new to you in marketing?
Oh, approaching people and introducing myself and telling them all about Aunt Sally, and the Facebook, that has been a real challenge, Facebook, as well as the Instagram. I'm still not quite au fait with Instagram. I'm starting to get my head around Facebook. The Facebook twice threatened to ban me because I was writing too many messages, but apparently the reason they caught on to me was I was cutting and pasting, because I wasn't going to sit and type out, 4 or 5 paragraphs to 1,552 individual friends on Facebook. So I thought, I'll just cut and paste, and I made little changes. I personalised everything, but they still caught on and said, that's against the rules of Facebook.
I see this recurring theme here. In Glasgow, you're a rule breaker. In Australia, you're a rule breaker.
Oh, I don't
In
like
publishing,
rules. I mean, to me, the only good rule is a rule that can be broken. It has to be. Rules have to be flexible, or they don't work.
I totally agree. You've so got me. Oh, crikey. You also recently... Oh my God. Okay, pull it together. No, just good, Gene. You just cracked me out. One of the great things that I love about this stuff, bro, is that every author has a unique take on creative expression and how they have to step up and market their books. But I tell you, the last couple of years, I haven't really ever come across somebody that every time she tells me about a certain part of their journey, I just can't help but absolutely sit there and enjoy the story, crack up laughing, and go, but you haven't stopped, Gene, you keep persevering.
yeah.
It's so good. And you just recently did a market stand, and you sold quite a few books there?
Yeah, I sold seven books, 2 bundles and 3 individuals.
Fantastic.
Mind you, I sold one to myself because a lady had come up and offered me a credit card, and I had my little square there, and I tapped and I swiped, and nothing happened, and it kept saying tap and swipe, and I'm tapping and swiping and nothing happened. So anyway, she said, there's an ATM machine outside, I'll just go and get some money out of the ATM. Well, I knew I'd never see her again. But I thought, I wonder if there's something wrong with my square. So I got my own credit card out. No problem. So I bought Aunt Sally Went to the Zoo. So I should say I really only sold 6 books on Saturday.
No, 7. Definitely
Well, the money's
7.
gone into my bank account, so yes, I sold 7.
Gosh. So, part of the publishing process, you started to get the stories out to lots of different readers, of different ages. What was the sort of feedback you were getting?
Oh, terrific. The only poor feedback I got was when I went to the first Squibby meeting after I joined Squibby in the Brisbane City Council, and there was 30 people at the meeting, 1 gentleman and 29 ladies, most of them teachers and some of them already published authors, middle grade, young, all sorts of picture books as well. And I had the temerity to read 4 or 5 verses of my How Aunt Sally Got Her Name story, and I was told my rhyme wasn't sophisticated enough. I was to listen to rap. Rap was very sophisticated.
I'm sorry, that's ridiculous.
I had to go and check Google Scansion. I did. Scansion is how the ancient Romans wrote their poetry in Latin.
Okay.
Now, tell me what that has to do with 1-year-old and 2-year-olds bedtime reading.
Absolutely nothing. Neither does 50 Cent and Eminem. So listening to rap is certainly not going to help you really articulate a storybook. So you've found one group of people that have said negative things about the writing based on prehistoric thought patterns. However, you've got a young kid, which I absolutely love this. You've got a young kid over in Canada who did a video review for you. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yes, that's, I'm not sure how old Tristan is, but he has his own YouTube channel, and I made a friend of his mum on Facebook, and she told me about him, and I looked him up, and I sent them over my manuscript before it was published, and just using the paper, he did a lovely review, and so he's actually been sent a hard copy, and I'm hoping it's arrived, and I'm hoping that he's going to do a review of the hard copy.
It's a fantastic video, and he's a French-speaking Canadian?
Yes, he's bilingual in French, Canadian, and English.
It's fantastic. He must
And he read Aunt Sally to his little brother, and said his little brother really loved it.
This kid's about 7 or 8. You know,
Yeah, he's
the
not
best.
very
He's
old. He
very
must be
young
one of the
fella.
youngest reviewers and the book reviewers in the world.
Oh, it was fantastic to watch it. It really was.
Yeah, I actually really did enjoy that. So, who is your target market? Who are you going for? Who would you like to read Aunt Sally?
Well, I want Aunt Sally to be read by anybody who wants to read it. I want it to be read to young children in bed at night. I would like it to become favourite bedtime stories. I guess since children can't buy books, my target market would be mums, dads, grandparents, teachers, kindy teachers, librarians. Oh, I mean, anybody that's got an interest in reading a book to a child or buying a book for a child. I watched a 6-year-old read one of the Aunt Sally books, and it was just lovely to watch the expression on her face as she saw the joke and saw the fun. And she had a little bit of trouble with one word, but it was a big word, irresistible. But once she got over that, I thought it was amazing.
Oh,
it was lovely,
so
and it
cool.
was I was so chuffed to see the enjoyment she got.
That's a lot of
From
it,
it.
isn't it? Is when we bring our books to life, we have a vision for it, and what we'd like to achieve. You don't have it be a classic storybook to be read at bedtime. But sometimes those very small things that we often gloss over, like seeing a 6-year-old read the book out, and just means so much to us when we have those moments.
Oh, it was lovely.
That's so good. What's next for you?
Trying to get my head around this marketing business. I've been very lazy since I came back on holiday. I just didn't seem to be terribly motivated. But come January, I am making lists of everything I've got to do, from contacting libraries, pet shops, schools, kindergartens. I'll start local. I'll start locally. But there's a possibility that I might be able to read to children in the Westfield Carindale shopping centre in the new year, because they're starting, apparently they stopped it, but they're starting a little area outside David Jones where people can read stories to a group of children. So my name's down, and hopefully...
Fantastic. This is another example of you stepping outside of your comfort zone, trying something new. But when you talk about it now, it actually sounds quite natural. Yep, this is what I've done. I've got an opportunity with Carindale. You're getting better at it. Yes?
Yeah.
So now I've got a curveball question for you, and I understand you had to do a bit of research into what a spirit animal is. So if you had to choose a spirit animal, what would it be?
I chose the wolf.
The wolf? Do tell.
Right. Nothing to do with intelligence, nothing to do with instinct, but I am a social being.
I cannot help but thoroughly enjoy every time I catch up with you.
I know.
It's the best time. All right, let's see how we go with this next question. What superhero would you be and why?
Well, I'm giving that a bit of thought.
Have you good?
And I can't come up with it. I mean, look at me. I'm me. This is it. This is what you get. What you see is what you get. I'm it. If I'm super, I don't think I am. But it's just plain Jean Peel.
You're an absolute goddess. You are super. You're a published author of 2 books that you actually did at once, which was something that I was encouraging you to do. You faced any challenge I put in front of you. You kicked its butt. You have shown up at appearance fair and promoted your books. You've been active on Facebook. You have just admitted that you're going to be making this plan very definitive in January, and you're prepared to step up out of everything that you ever thought you'd do to make Aunt Sally be heard. So are you super? Without a doubt, Jim. Without a doubt. Well, look, I do want to thank you for coming and entertaining myself and Flash today, and hopefully all the viewers found this great. We'll have to get you to put up on your Facebook where you get your Susan Boyle CDs from.
Yeah.
And for you guys that would like to get copies of Aunt Sally, both of these little puppies, pussycats, and bookmarks, and know a little bit more about Jean and who she is and why she's published these books, go to jeanpeel.com. Their website's coming along the bottom of the screen, and you could also check her out on Facebook and Instagram, which I'm sure will put a smile on your face. Thanks for watching, everybody.